I'm going in search of witches.
Witches.
Witches. I guess you found me out, huh? Yeah. You should come around here on Halloween. You'd really see something then.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we all jump off the roof and fly.
You know, sort of like a coven.
You have placed Vesta under some strange sexual spell.
At what time will we be spellcasting?
Hey there, witches, and welcome to Moonstone Witchery, the podcast where we talk about witchcraft and spirituality in a modern context. My name is Rian Lockard, and I'm super excited to be here today. You know where to find me. Search me up on any platform, Moonstone Witchery, and I would love to see you in any of my spaces, especially my Facebook group or my Witchcraft Academy, where you're going to learn about all the things. Today, I want to talk about how to really live a deeply intuitively connected life. I think I've talked about this on previous episodes, but I think let's dive a little bit deeper because it's really exciting to actually actively live an intuitively connected life. And I think that a lot of the time we lose track of quite how to do that or how to trust ourselves. So I just want to break it down and chat about it. Recently in the Facebook group, someone made a post that was commenting on this feeling of being really divinely connected. And they said this interesting thing, which was like, oh, I went to this place and it was really, really haunted. And when I was in this super haunted place, I felt like the spiritual energy was so high. And she was like, how can I have more of that in my life? I want to feel this super high spiritual energy all the time. And my response to her was like, yeah, that's such a cool feeling. I completely know what you're talking about. What I think you need to do is to find a way to connect to your guides on a more regular basis, or to connect to your intuition. And so that prompted me to want to chat about this with you all, because I really think that inside each of us, there is this antenna to spirit that we just come kind of equipped with. And it makes sense that it would be there because we are both spiritual beings and human beings at the same time. There's some quote that says something like, you do not, I always mess this quote up. In case you hear this sound, my dog has just appeared. She's overjoyed to be here with us right now. It's like you are not a body, you are a soul with a body. I don't know, I always mess this quote up. But the point of the quote is that, okay, Oracle, sit. Just relax. And then you heard her not sit and leave the room. Pretty par for the course. So we are here equipped with this magic antenna because we are both of the spiritual realm and of the tangible realm. Our spirit is of the spiritual realm. Our body is of the tangible realm. And so, of course, we are a blend of both. And so because we are here using tangible eyes, we're going to see the tangible world. And because we are here using tangible hands, we're going to touch the tangible world. And because we are here listening with tangible ears, we're going to hear the tangible realm. And so we must look for our spiritual information to come in a way that it would come through spirit, because we're getting the tangible information in tangible ways. So we're going to get the spiritual information in spiritual ways. So in order for us to begin to understand and recognize what that spiritual information is, we have to sort of shift into a place of understanding that there is spiritual information, right? And what I mean by that is we're very reliant on the tangible parts of ourselves because we believe that what we see is all there is, because it's hard to believe in the unseen. And yet most of our lives exist in the unseen. Let me break that down though. Most of our lives exist in the unseen because all we are doing is seeing and interacting with the tangible reality, and then we take it in and we process it in unseen ways through our thoughts, through our emotions, through our impulses, through internal processing agencies that do not actually exist tangibly. And so despite the fact that we've been really socialized and conditioned to rely only on what is seen, we actually are living a life that is made of the unseen. It's made of the intangible. It's made of our interpretations. It's made of our emotions. It's made of our thoughts. It's made of our spiritual components. And so the first thing to realize is, oh my gosh, I'm living an unseen life. Because you and I could have the same experience, but walk away feeling very differently from it. We could both be standing in line for something, and that's the tangible component. There's 4 people in front of me in line at this like lemonade stand at a fairground, and I'm here and it's hot. Now, depending on who I am versus depending on who you are, we could be standing in line next to each other, but have vastly different experiences. If I have, for example, a hard time with the heat, I'm going to be having a challenging time. If you love the heat, you're going to be like, this is so great. If I am at this fair to cheer myself up because I'm going through a hard time in my life, a moment of standing by myself might feel kind of sad to me because I'm contemplating all the things that are hard right now that brought me to this proactive behavior of mine to try to shift my world. So I might be sort of sad standing in this line. If you are in a good place and have brought your kids and they're having some magical day where they're behaving and not bothering you and whatever, you might be like, oh my gosh, this is great. I love this lemonade. I love this hot weather. I love the smell of the fairgrounds. I love the sounds. If I'm agoraphobic or overwhelmed by people or whatever, I might be like, oh my God, everyone's standing so close to me in line. Whatever, and I might be panicking to some degree, but we're doing the same thing, and yet we're having wildly different experiences, because really what dictates our experience is our inner world. So we have to stop thinking that only the tangible is real, because none of this is tangible, really. I mean, yeah, there's things I can touch, but the way I touch them and the information I take from that experience is going to be up to what's happening in the unseen part of me, which is my inner world, which is made of emotions and thoughts and spirit. And so if we are here as these blended creatures who are living, spiritual beings living in a physical world, then we are going to have blended experiences, and we are going to receive tangible influence and tangible information, but we are also receiving spiritual influence and spiritual information. And that is the part that is lost. I don't know how or why or where or what it got lost to, but I know it's lost because so many of us struggle to validate this part of ourselves, and yet this part of ourselves is almost the entirety of ourselves. Do you see that? This is why I'm always ranting about how everything is duality. We think we're here in a physical capacity, but in reality, we're here much more in an emotional, spiritual capacity. We really are. And so we are in this balancing act. We are tightrope walking between these two realms. But because we are made of both, it is not that we are deficient in one or the other. It is that we are efficient in both. You are a divine being. You are this magical creation. You are both spirit and nature and physicality and emotion. You're all the things. And so when we're talking about living a more spiritually connected life, what I'm really wanting us to do is to honor, respect, and accept the premise of the fact that spirit is a part of who we are. There's like this big self-doubt that we all carry that is programmed in us by, you guessed it, the patriarchy and capitalism and monotheism. To doubt ourselves and to not believe ourselves and to be like, oh, you're having a feeling. Feelings are hysterical, crazy things. Right? When really, like, having a feeling like that about feelings is also a version of being hysterical and crazy or whatever, you know? And so whatever, it's so annoying. The gaslighting of the culture is like so frustrating. But what I want you to really do is to use like your power of perceptive thinking to analyze these like assumptions that are the foundation of the world. And to realize like, oh, maybe the premise is wrong. It's like we're doing a geometry proof. And if you are doing a geometry proof, if one of your foundational steps is incorrect, the whole thing is going to be incorrect. However, it can still be right based on the logic that you had in the beginning, but that doesn't make it right overall, which is what most of us are living our lives by. We're living a life that is assumptive. It is assuming a bunch of premises that we haven't really stopped to break down. And those premises are flawed and incorrect. We can be living a life that's fully in alignment with those premises, but also be like wildly unhappy because the premise was wrong. Some of these premises that I'm talking about are things like, oh, you're supposed to be like white and thin and wealthy and have a college education and heterosexual. And if you're not those things, then, oh, well, life sucks for you. That is a flawed premise. Those are not the keys to happiness. Those are not the keys to success. Those don't matter. And yet, because we're saturated in a culture full of advertising and like glorification of a dollar sign and like glorification of like unhealthy beauty standards and all the things, like we're all set up for disappointment. But the premise is the problem, not us, not you. You're not the problem. The premise is the problem. It's a flawed proof. It's a flawed argument. The initial assumption is inaccurate, and we're all trying to find a certain outcome based on an assumption that cannot predict, cannot deliver that outcome. The outcome that I'm currently arguing about in this episode is that we have a hard time accessing spirit. The outcome that I'm arguing against is that living an intuitively connective life is somehow hard or not for everybody, or there are only certain special people who can do it. Like, no. Like, you don't have to have gone on like some type of acid trip or mushroom trip or spiritual like meditation, silent retreat. You don't have to have done anything to be able to access this side of you. What if it's already there? What if you are innately connected? What if you are so connected that you overlook it and don't even realize that that's what it is? What if you are spirit embodied and it is your birthright? What if it is so much a part of you to be connected that you don't even realize that you are connected because you just simply weren't taught that that's what it is? See, that's my thought. Now, I teach this 6-week class called Divine Communication, and it is available for everyone who's in my Witchcraft Academy. And by the way, all the classes in my Witchcraft Academy are evergreen, which means they don't go away. Y'all can, if you're in the academy, you can watch and rewatch and relearn and ask me questions about anything at any time. It's always relevant. It's always current. There's no requirements. There's no timelines. There's no grading. There's no like schedule that you have to follow. There is simply a treasure trove of info that everybody gets access to. And in Divine Communication, we really break down a lot of this in really deep ways. Additionally, I am teaching a modified version of Divine Communication at a witches event that is online on October 22nd through Hierophant Publishing. And I will be dropping information about that soon. But regardless, What if we are all connected? What if it's true that you are spiritual? What if it's true that you are aligned? What if it's true that you do access your guides and your angels? And what if it's true that you are in a constant conversation with the universe? Because that's my premise. That's the thing that I'm doing. I'm revising the premises of the culture over here. Just, sitting by myself, revising the premise of our culture because there's so many things that are wrong. I am sorry, but there are so many things that are like close, but not quite there. So to live an intuitively connected life, we have to break the concept that we're not. I just want to say that one more time. To live an intuitively connected life, we have to break the concept that we're not, meaning we have to break the concept that we're not already connected in this way. We have to say, like, what if I am one of those special people? And in order to convince yourself of this, I want you to go, after you listen to this episode, to go find my episode that's called What You Want Is Meant for You. Because if you're listening to a spirituality podcast, and if you're interested in spirituality, and if you've always wished that you were one of these fancy people who could talk to spirit, that's because you are one of these fancy people that can talk to spirit. It is the part of you within yourself that can do that, that knows about itself, that is self-aware, that is saying to you, OMG, I want to talk to spirit because I can. Like, it's not a wish that is bred from like the inability to. It's an urging from your capacity to do the thing that is speaking within you and causing you to have all this interest in it. It is the fact that you are interested in it means that it is you. Okay, so let's keep moving. So we're going to accept this premise that we are like spiritual creatures that are inhabiting physical bodies, and therefore we can do both physical things and spiritual things. And that just makes logical sense, right? Doesn't it make significantly less sense to listen to what everybody has been telling us, which is like, oh, you're only human. There are some people that are human and spirit, and they can talk to God. But you have to come to the fancy building and give us money in the fancy plate, and you have to sit in a dark little scary room and tell the fancy person why you're wrong and bad. And then maybe you can like submit a request to God by getting on your knees and groveling and apologizing and then asking for what you need. But it's better to ask the fancy person to do it for you. Like, come on. That makes no logical sense to me whatsoever. None of that makes any sense. All of that is self-serving. It just is. This is nonsense. Doesn't it make so much more sense for it to be like, hey, you were birthed through this magical portal in like your mother's body, and you therefore have to be made of magic because you came through a magical portal, and then you had all these magical experiences in childhood that let you know that like you were made of magic, and you've always believed that something more was going on, and all of that is your inner self telling yourself who you are. So if you want to talk to spirit, just all you have to do is start speaking. Like, that makes so much more sense. How could some of us be super special connected? That's not how it works. We are all super special connected. The only difference is that some people stand in their own way, or some people don't believe in the true, honest truth of who they actually are. And that is sad and unfortunate, but it is not factual. So if we can accept the premise that we are like these magical beings, like living here on this planet, and that everything sort of has an innate magical special quality to itself, then we get to all like be like, oh, this is so nice. Like, let's like use both sides of ourselves. Let's like do physical things for physical tasks. Let's do spiritual things for spiritual tasks. And then we find that most of life is in that gray zone, in the in-between, where it's a blend of physical things and spiritual things. Most of life is both. And so that's why like we'll be driving a physical car to go to a location, and we'll be like holding our enchanted key and being like, please make traffic, get out of my way. And then it does, because all of life's experiences are both. There's hardly an experience that is solely one or solely the other. I'm having a hard time even really thinking of any experiences that are only one or only the other. So if that's the case, then how do we get that feeling that that person who made that post described, where they could just feel the energy and it was like, oh my gosh, this is so real and vivid and heightened and like amazing? Well, there's a couple ways in a regular life to kind of infuse that feeling into your world. You don't have to go live on a monastery or do like yoga retreats every month or whatever. You can just start by starting. This is where crystals come into play for me personally. And it's why I have such a love of crystals, because crystals are these magic special rocks that exist here that vibrate at different frequencies, and they do different things, and they're incorporated in our electronics because it is known by science that crystals are vibrating at certain frequencies and doing special things, and you can program crystals and ask them to help you, and they do. And so if you want to start feeling a little more connected, load up your personal spaces with high vibrational crystals. You might want to add grounding crystals too, because just for a side tangent, grounding crystals they don't take away your capacity to connect to spirit. What they do is they anchor your physical body down so that you are able to leave and connect with more ease. It's kind of like we're just tethering the body to a safe place. We're strengthening it, holding it down so we don't get lost to ourselves. So a grounding crystal or a grounding practice is going to hold the body to the earth so the body can be a really stabilized conduit of that spiritual energy. So having a nice blend of grounding and highly vibrational crystals is really good. An interesting crystal that offers you both is Botswana agate. Botswana agate is the most high vibrational agate crystal that there is. And so what it does is it provides grounding to you while also connecting you spiritually. But there's also a lot of other crystals that do both. Tourmalated quartz is going to go ahead and offer grounding and protecting, but also spiritual connection as well. Because the black tourmaline that's in tourmalated quartz grounds you and it transmutes anything negative. And the clear quartz brings clarity, spiritual connection, and all of that. Another one is like ruby and zoisite. That's going to offer you that grounding, that protecting, that root chakra energy in the ruby, and this like really high vibrational, elevated emotional energy through the zoisite. And like that's going to connect you to your guides. But there's this whole quality of ruby and zoisite that's like foundationally unconditional love, which is really nice. But I'm on a tangent. There's so many crystals that will offer you both in one package, but there's also, you can have a collection of many. But if you really want to increase the vibration of your home spaces, load that bitch up with some selenite. Wear selenite. Selenite's one of the most highly vibrational crystals you can have. And it will infuse you with that spiritual energy a little bit more on a regular basis. Keep selenite in your home, keep selenite in your office. You can try keeping selenite near your bed for like lucid dreaming or connected dreams, but some people find that they have a really hard time sleeping with selenite in their bedroom spaces. So in that capacity, I would recommend celestite instead for next to your bed, because celestite does a similar thing, but because it's more of like a geode, it's more of like a rock kind of thing in what it's kept in. It's got more grounding qualities than selenite does. Amethyst is another great grounding and connecting crystal. If you can ever find a pyrite quartz cluster, that's going to do a really good job and bring like that luck and abundant energy to you as well. I am obsessed with pyrite. I just love pyrite. And of course, you all know, and this is not why I'm telling you about this, but if you need crystals, come to my website, because we have a flourishing crystal business because me and Audrey are obsessed with crystals. So come over moonstonewitchery.com. We will make you a bag of crystals, but whatever. Or go to a local crystal store. Do something. Get yourself some crystals into your home, because that's going to immediately change the energy of your home. Another thing you can do to kind of submerge yourself more in that predominantly connected vibrational feeling is have a practice with yourself where you keep a candle lit while you're home. But before you light that candle the first time, hold it in your hands and say, when this candle is lit, I'm opening my channel to my guides. And I want that when this candle is lit, my channel is also open. I can receive information with ease. I can be connected with ease. I can communicate with my guides with ease. They can communicate with me with ease. Even just doing a supremely small thing, such as lighting a candle every day, and you only have to set it once. Set the intention once, and then every time you light it, just be like, hey guides, how you doing? I'm opening my channel for you. And that's it. Just walk away. But when that candle is kept lit, it invites in the presence of spirit. You're giving consent. You're using your free will to invite in. You're asking for help. You're asking for support. These two things alone, having more crystals in your life, having a candle that you keep lit when you're home, these two things alone will start to increase your vibrational energy, and you'll start to feel that feeling more. But then the next and more profound step is to go ahead and start talking to your guides. Have a conversation. You are in a conversation with the universe. Chat with them. I don't care if you feel silly or not, and I don't care if you're receiving answers or not, because we have to train ourselves to receive our answers in different ways than what we think. But putting it out there, making your requests, asking your guides, hey, I'm really nervous to go to this office party later. If you can go ahead and keep such and such person away from me, that would be helpful, or protect me from this situation. I'm super nervous to speak to my boss, so if somebody can kind of like talk through me when I'm doing that, that'd be really cool. Whatever. Say words as to what you would like. Give permission for spirit to access you and influence you, okay? But then the most important thing that you can do to live a more connected life is to practice listening to your intuition more. This is like the thing I want to teach literally everyone in the world. Your intuition is that antenna. It is that thing that bridges the gap between human and spirit. Your intuition is that connection device. It is combining the two of you. It's unifying the separate parts of you, because your intuition uses your physical body to give you messages from spirit, the spiritual plane. And so when you are beginning to try to like live this more witchy, you want to feel more witchy and connected and happy and like amazing all the time. When you're starting to walk that path, the thing that's most important for you to do is to access your intuition. And many of you have heard me say this before, but you can never hear this too much. Even I can't hear it too much. And I don't even think anymore. I just live based on my intuition. But even I can get trapped in my own head, especially when we're going through a phase in life that is challenging or divergent or hard or scary or stressful or sad. Those moments are when we need our intuition the most. But see, those moments are when it's really hard for us to access our intuition, because we are in a human body trying to receive spiritual information. And if our human body is flooded with a bunch of negative or hard or stressful emotions, it's really hard to sift through all of that emotional energy to get down to the base of the intuitive message. And this is for two reasons. One, negative or sad emotions are really kind of loud and they're really kind of big. But two, we have not been practiced in listening to our intuition. And so just like with anything else, the less we use it, the quieter it becomes. And so when we're in a challenging time or in a challenging space with ourselves, our intuition feels quieter or farther away. Our connection to spirit feels quieter or farther away, which is so sad and unfortunate, because it's really not farther away. It's just buried underneath loud, big emotions that seem to be demanding our attention, but we don't want to deal with them, so we just kind of shut down. But when we shut down to that intuitive piece too. So I want us to start practicing when things feel okay. I want us to start practicing with connecting to our intuition on a regular basis then. Because if we can connect to our intuition on a regular basis then guess what? It's that much louder when we're upset because we're more used to accessing it. So I want you to locate where your intuition lives and to listen to it and to follow it and to trust in it and to ask it questions and to never do anything that your intuition is not on board with. And this is easier said than done. I pride myself on, quote, never ignoring my intuition. And yet, recently in my life, I've been going through a hard time. And I knew about something that was going to happen a full year before it happened. My guides clearly told me, and I voiced it, and I knew it was going to happen. And then it started happening, and my intuition was nagging me, but I didn't know it was happening because it was being kept from me. My intuition was yo, hey, poke, hello. And because I was so overworked and because I was so stressed out and because I was so tired and because I had my own self-work to do in certain areas that I hadn't realized I had self-work to do yet, with allowing people to help me and with being grateful, but with also trying to not seem too bossy or intense or whatever my stories were, I didn't recognize this nagging feeling as intuition so much as I just felt maybe something's wrong with me, or maybe I'm just really stressed, or maybe life's just really hard. So I'm not going to pretend to you that this is the easiest thing in the world. I know it's not. But even working with your intuition on an everyday basis makes it that much easier to access. It makes it slightly better. It makes it slightly easier. And the small things become really clear. And the big things we might know about like I did, but we might still struggle with because we're human. Right? Spirit tells us the truth, but our human side has a hard time figuring out what to do about it. And that's okay. And that's what our self-work is for. Because the second I realized, oh my gosh, this is my intuition, I know exactly what to do, that number one didn't make the thing easier to do. I just knew what the right answer was. But number two, once I did the thing, oh my God, I felt so much better. See, Spirit's always trying to get us into alignment. It's always telling us where something needs to shift a little bit. It's always telling us this feels a little bit off. And then we have to wrestle with ourselves to get things back to being matched up, to get things back to being aligned, to get things to being okay. And a lot of that's really hard because we burden ourselves with our stories about what other people are going to think or feel. But we never take ourselves into consideration. How is this making me feel, though? And even if we know how it's making ourselves feel, sometimes we find a way to make that not that important. We just go, well, I'll deal with it, or it's not that bad, or I'm sure it'll be okay, or whatever we say to ourselves, because a lot of us struggle with self-work, or a lot of us struggle with choosing ourselves, or a lot of us struggle with protecting ourselves or having boundaries, and some of that's because no one ever chose us, or no one ever told us we were worthy, or no one ever protected us, or drew boundaries around us, so we don't know that it's okay to do those things. But that's another one of those premises that we have to reevaluate. Just because it wasn't given to me doesn't mean I didn't deserve it. Just because somebody didn't show up for me doesn't mean I didn't need them to show up. And I think a lot of times in our lives, we're not assigning responsibility appropriately because we take on all the responsibility onto ourselves. Well, if I hadn't had a need, I wouldn't have been let down by not having my need be met. So it's really my fault. Well, that's wrong. We all have needs. We don't exist in a vacuum. We're human. We're people. We have needs. That's part of the deal of being here. And we're not here by ourselves. We're here with others. So having needs met by others is a part of the deal. But we feel so much shame or remorse or guilt or sadness or insufficiency when we need something and someone doesn't meet it. But we don't ever say, well, maybe that person didn't meet it because of something within them. We say, what is it that's wrong with me that I need this to begin with? And that is unfair to ourselves. And I'm not saying that every single person should be equipped with the capacity to meet our needs, or that we are somehow supposed to give all of our needs to others to meet. It's another balancing act. It's another fine line. We do what we can with what we have, and we outsource what we can't, and we hope that someone can help us. And then when people can't, we have to switch people. Because it's not that there's not someone who can meet your needs out there, because your needs are not that ridiculous. It's that you just haven't found it, and you keep pouring into a person who has said in their own way, I can't meet this need. Which is why we must listen to the late and great Maya Angelou, who said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. We all know pretty much immediately if a person is right for us or not. And I don't even mean romantically. I'm talking friendship here. I'm talking coworkers. I'm talking, anything. Random cashiers. But we get into this wrestling match with our own selves about our initial assessment. But what would happen if we followed that initial assessment? Because I'll tell you, a year ago, I knew something was wrong with certain people, and I should have just gone ahead and handled it then. But I didn't. And one of the reasons I didn't was because I didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But guess what? Everybody's feelings got hurt anyway. And in fact, I think everybody's feelings got hurt worse than they would have. Because the fact is, including my own, because the fact is that we try our best to prevent pain from happening, but often it just extends the situation. We're not intentionally harming people, but sometimes when things aren't a match and we try to force them to be, that creates a harm of its own. We must listen to our intuition, is what I'm saying, especially if we want to live this life where we feel like connected all the time. And so let's review what we're going to be working on, okay? We're going to have crystals in our lives or spiritual tools, incense, like make yourself a wire-wrapped necklace, whatever. We're going to have, what was the next one? Oh, we're going to light a candle in our home and invite in our guides. We're going to start talking to our guides. I would love for you to just get in the habit, like radically accept that some people are going to think you're so weird. And if you can radically accept that and just not even care, then you get to like talk to rocks and you get to like go outside and like say to your tree, like, thank you for protecting my land and thank you for loving my family and thank you for being here and letting me be near you. You get to like walk through your house, and if you can't find an object that you've lost your keys, you get to be like, hey, house spirits, can you help me find my keys, please? Thank you so much. And then your keys show up somewhere. You get to live like that if you're willing to just like radically accept, like, I guess I'm just gonna be the weird witchy auntie, like whatever, like just do the thing, Like, I guess I'm just gonna be like that person who shows up at the party and spends the time talking to the cat and like watching the weird energy being in the corner because I'm not sure how I feel about it. Like, can we just accept that this is the person that we are? And then after that, the world expands so much because we get to be who we are and know what we know and do what we do. And it's so freeing. But then we get to find out how much the universe is here for us. It is so helping us. It is so working with us. It is so showing up for us. When you start communicating with the unseen forces around you, they're so thrilled that anyone's talking to them that they really work with you. And then you're going to start listening to your intuition for every actual thing that happens. Everything. Like there's not a request that is too small to ask your intuition. I think that the mistake that a lot of people make, and like back when I first started my business doing readings, I would have people contact me in crisis a lot. Like I would have people be like, oh my God, I just got fired from my job. Please tell me exactly what I'm supposed to do. And that's fine. And I can do those readings. But what I want to say too to that, and my readings are open again, by the way, but what I want to say to that is like, if you were in a place of having practiced with your own intuition on a regular basis, you wouldn't need to reach out to a professional in a time of crisis because you would already know your answers for yourself. And also these things don't blindside you as much when you are living an intuitively connected life because you catch a sense of it. You get the vibe. You pick up the energy that's being like sparkled around, you know, like you are like, oh, this is going to go down like that probably. Because you know what you know. And you already always know this stuff, but you don't give yourself enough credit most likely. And so we're missing things or we're feeling like we're missing things. But really what we're doing is we're just invalidating ourselves and our own inner knowing. And I'm trying to get us to stop doing that. I'm trying to get you to a place where you can be like, I'm going to ask my intuition about this and use divination tools if you want, because nothing makes you feel more witchy than like shuffling your card deck, right? You can use divination tools. I'm going to request that you don't use pendulums because they will just tell you what you want to hear because they are lying liars who lie. But use a card deck, do some scrying, do some smoke reading, talk to a candle. Like there's so many, throw some runes or some bones or some things. You can do divination in order to connect and to get your answers. But I want you to like give yourself permission. I think this is an episode about giving yourself permission. The thing I want you to give yourself permission for is like, I give myself permission to be this witchy, badass, amazing person. I give myself permission to be this like next level spiritual being who is like perceiving the energy in all things and receiving information and who knows what I know and who's like walking around doing the most. Like those are all the coolest people anyway, at least in my assessment. Like those are the best people. And you, if you like those people, that's because what you want is meant for you. And you are one of those people. You might be masquerading as somebody else. But if you're drawn to things like that or to people like that, you are those things. You are those people. So I want to give you a podcast assignment. And I want your assignment to be to go do these things. If you can't light a candle, get yourself like one of those Clickiani candles that are like light bulb candles. If you don't like incense, don't burn incense. If you have a hard time finding crystals, go outside to your like rocks that live in your yard. And talk to them and say like, do any of you rocks want to come like elevate the energy of my home? Get some tree branches. Tree branches elevate energy. Get some stuff that makes you feel connected, that makes your energy feel heightened. Start talking to your guides. Start talking to your inner self. Start paying attention to your automatic impulsive read on something. The thing that like you just know, even though you can't maybe quote justify or validate it, but all of that is just like noise. You know what you know. And I want us to practice trusting that because what this lady's post was about is so real. It's like what we all want to feel. And I had a client start coaching with me, oh my God, like 5 or 6 years ago, maybe. And the first day, the first question she asked, and I've talked about this before, was she was like, can you actually live a life where you feel like connected like that all the time? And she has like self-graduated from coaching with me and she lives a life where she feels like that all the time because yes, that is so possible. And not only is it possible, it's like accessible to you. You can do this right now. You don't have to do anything fancy. You don't have to do anything excessive. But you might want to pay attention to the ways in which you talk to yourself as you're trying to work on this stuff. Because if your default position is to kind of like ignore yourself or argue with yourself or put yourself down or tell yourself all the reasons why it's not or you're not or it can't or whatever, that's just the mindset that someone's given to you, but it's not serving your highest good. It's not creating ease for you around living aligned like that. So that's where your self-work begins. How can I trust myself? How can I believe myself? And use logic to talk yourself into it, because as we already discerned, the premise is wrong. So it's actually more logical for you to be spiritually connected in this way than it is that you're not. So have those conversations with yourself. I hope this has been helpful. If you would like to fill me in on your journey, I would love to hear from you. The best and coolest way for you to kind of fill me in on your journey is to join the Facebook group and make posts. Or really, if you really want one-on-one access to me and can't afford one-on-one coaching, which is completely reasonable, I created the Witchcraft Academy to give one-on-one access to me and a sense of community and a lot of learning. So check that out and join me there, because I would so love to have you in the Witchcraft Academy. And then I get to know you and I get to like talk with you and we can kind of troubleshoot through all these things together in community. And it's really, really nice. Find me on anywhere. I am on TikTok. I am kind of on YouTube. I am also, my memes are still on Instagram. So hit me up wherever, and I will talk to you next time, and have an amazing day.